There comes a time in life when you realize that the only person you truly need to compete with is yourself. Too often, we waste our energy comparing, doubting, and chasing after what others are doing. We look around and measure our worth against someone else's success, and in doing so, we forget the one person who deserves our full attention: you. If you really want to succeed, you must learn to turn that focus inward. Stop waiting for others to validate you. Stop looking for shortcuts in someone else's journey. The truth is, nobody will live your life for you. Nobody will fight your battles, and nobody will build your dreams. That responsibility rests in your hands alone. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's lonely at times. But the moment you begin to pour your time, your energy, and your determination into becoming better than you were yesterday, something magical happens. You stop being distracted. You stop being drained by meaningless comparisons. You begin to see progress, slow, steady, powerful progress. Don't let the noise around you dictate your path. People will doubt you. People will laugh, and some will even try to pull you down, but their words are powerless unless you give them power. Your focus must remain unshakable. Remember, your greatest strength lies not in outshining others, but in mastering yourself. Ask yourself every day, am I better than I was yesterday? Did I grow, even just a little? That's where success begins. Not in applause, not in recognition, but in the quiet moments when you choose discipline over excuses, resilience over giving up, and courage over fear. Your life will not change by accident. It will change because you decided to take control, to focus, to work, and to never stop believing in the person you are becoming. The world doesn't need another copy of someone else's story. The world needs your story, your strength, your focus. So stop chasing shadows. Stop letting comparison steal your peace. Focus on yourself and watch how everything else falls into place. When you begin this journey of focusing on yourself, the very first step is to stop competing with others and start competing with yourself. This shift is not easy because from childhood we are taught to compare. We compare grades, we compare possessions, we compare lifestyles, and we carry that habit into adulthood. But here's the truth. Comparison is a thief. It steals your joy, it steals your peace, and worst of all, it blinds you from recognizing your own progress. Think about it. The moment you compare your life with someone else's, you're already setting yourself up for disappointment. Why? Because you're measuring your chapter 1 against someone else's chapter 20. You're looking at their highlight reel, their polished results, without seeing the struggles, the failures, and the sacrifices that came before. And while you're busy staring at them, you lose sight of your own path. You stop noticing the small victories you're achieving because your mind is too clouded with what others have. The first step to truly focusing on yourself is breaking free from this cycle. When you wake up in the morning, don't ask, am I ahead of them? Instead, ask, am I ahead of who I was yesterday? That's the only question that matters. Because the moment you choose to compete with yourself, you step into a different kind of power, one that nobody can take away from you. Imagine running a race. If you're constantly turning your head to see how far others are, you lose speed, you lose energy, and eventually you stumble. But if your eyes stay fixed on your own lane, your own rhythm, your own progress, you run faster, stronger, and with more confidence. Life works the exact same way. The finish line is not about being first, it's about becoming better than the version of you who started. Ask yourself, what do I need to improve today? Maybe yesterday you wasted hours scrolling, but today you can choose discipline. Maybe yesterday you gave up too quickly, but today you can push a little harder. Maybe yesterday you doubted yourself, but today you can take one small step forward in faith. That's growth. That's progress. That's winning. Competing with yourself doesn't mean ignoring others. It means refusing to measure your worth by their achievements. You can admire people, you can learn from them, but you don't need to compare yourself to them. Their success doesn't reduce yours, and your progress doesn't diminish theirs. Everyone's path is unique, and trying to copy theirs will only lead you away from your own. When you embrace self-competition, you begin to find strength in small things. The book you read, the hour you dedicated to your craft, the habit you built, the fear you overcame, those are your victories. They may not look glamorous to the world, but they are proof that you're moving forward. And every time you choose growth over stagnation, you become stronger, more focused, and more capable of building the life you want. Think of it this way: if you get 1% better every day in 1 year, you're not just a little better, you're transformed. That transformation doesn't come from chasing others, it comes from consistent self improvement. It comes from setting the standard that your only competition is the person staring back at you in the mirror. The world will always try to pull you into comparison. Social media will bombard you with people showing their best moments, and your mind will whisper, "Why not me? Why am I not there yet?" But the answer is simple: you are not meant to be them. You are meant to be you. Your only mission is to ensure that tomorrow's version of you is stronger, wiser, and more resilient than today's. So the first step is clear: compete with yourself. Wake up and commit to being better than yesterday. Push yourself to grow, not because you want to outshine others, but because you want to outshine your own limitations. Your progress, your discipline, your journey, that's where true success lives. When you begin to focus on yourself, the first lesson you must accept is that your life belongs to you, and only you. No one else will live it for you. No one else will carry your struggles, your fears, your responsibilities, or your dreams. People can support you, they can encourage you, they can walk beside you, but at the end of the day, every choice, every sacrifice, every step forward must come from you. This realization is tough for many because deep down, we hope someone will save us. We hope someone will push us when we're tired, pick us up when we fall, or make the path easier when it feels too heavy. But here's the truth: nobody can walk in your shoes. Nobody can fight your battles. Nobody can build your dream the way you can, because your dream is uniquely yours. Think about it. When you wake up in the morning, whose life are you living? Yours. When you go to sleep at night, whose thoughts fill your head? Yours. When the struggles come, when the failures hit, when the nights feel endless, who carries that weight? You. And if that's the case, why waste time waiting for others to move for you? Why depend on someone else to fight a fight that only you are equipped to win? Yes, support matters. Yes, encouragement helps, but you cannot lean on it as the foundation of your life. If your strength depends on others, then the moment they walk away, you will crumble. That's why the first step of learning is to take ownership of your life, to tell yourself, "I am responsible, I will fight, I will build, I will endure." That shift in mindset transforms everything, because the moment you decide to take ownership, excuses begin to disappear. Suddenly, it's no longer about what people did to you, or what resources you don't have, or what circumstances held you back. It becomes about what you will do with what you have, right now, and that's where growth begins. Your life is like a blank canvas, but here's the catch: you're the only one holding the brush. People might give you advice on what to paint, they might criticize or praise your strokes, but at the end of the day, it's your hand, your vision, your creation. If you put the brush down and wait for someone else to paint for you, you'll end up staring at a blank canvas for the rest of your life. Some people spend years blaming others for where they are. They say, "If my family had supported me, if my boss had seen my potential, if my friends had believed in me." But that mindset is a prison, because while you're busy pointing fingers, time keeps moving and your dreams keep slipping away. The truth is, you cannot control what people give or withhold from you, but you can control how hard you fight, how much you learn, how far you're willing to go. Every great achievement begins with someone deciding, "I will not wait for anyone else. I will take responsibility for my life." That's where courage is born. That's where resilience grows. And that's where dreams begin to take shape, not in waiting, but in doing. Yes, it's hard. Yes, there will be days when you feel alone, when the weight of your journey feels unbearable. But remember this: if you quit, no one else can finish it for you. If you give up on your dream, no one else will carry it to the finish line. That's how personal this is. Your dream belongs to you, and if you let it dies with you. So the first step of learning is ownership. Ownership of your failures, ownership of your growth, ownership of your destiny. Because once you take ownership, you stop being a victim of life and start being the driver of it. And when you are in the driver's seat, you may not know every turn, you may not avoid every obstacle, but you know one thing for sure: you are moving forward, and no one can take that away from you. When you take the first step of learning, you must understand this truth: Progress is not about being perfect, it's about becoming better than you were yesterday. Too often, people get trapped in the illusion that success happens overnight, that greatness is built in a single leap. But the reality is much simpler and far more powerful. Growth happens in small steps, repeated consistently, until one day you look back and realize you've transformed into someone you once only dreamed of being. Think of a seed planted in the soil. You don't see it grow overnight. Day after day, it fights in silence beneath the ground. It pushes against the dirt, it stretches toward the light, and little by little, it breaks through the surface. That's what progress looks like in your life. It's not about dramatic instant results. It's about the quiet, steady commitment to being just a little better than you were the day before. But here's the challenge. Many people give up too soon because they underestimate small improvements. They look at their efforts and say, "It's not enough. I'm still far behind. What difference does this make?" And because they fail to appreciate small steps, they never reach the big ones. That's why the first step of learning is to value progress, no matter how small, because every single step counts. Every single improvement matters. Imagine if you committed to improving by just 1% each day. That sounds small, right? Almost insignificant. But do the math. 1% every day compounded over a year doesn't make you a little better. It makes you nearly 37 times better. That's the power of consistent progress. It doesn't shout. It doesn't always feel exciting, but it changes you in ways that nothing else can. Becoming better than you were yesterday also means learning to measure yourself against your own growth, not against anyone else. Yesterday you were afraid to speak up. Today you spoke with courage. Yesterday you wasted hours on distractions. Today you invested that time in your goals. Yesterday you doubted yourself. Today you chose faith. These are victories, and each one builds a stronger, sharper, more resilient version of you. The truth is, progress is deeply personal. No one else will see the small battles you fight, the quiet decisions you make, the habits you choose to build, but that doesn't matter. You don't need applause for every step you take. What matters is that you see it, you recognize it, and you honor it. Because if you keep showing up for yourself, if you keep fighting to grow, one day the results will be undeniable. Progress also requires patience. You cannot demand transformation overnight. Growth has its own rhythm, and sometimes it feels painfully slow. But that's when you must remind yourself, slow progress is still progress. If you're moving forward, no matter how small the steps, you're still further ahead than you were yesterday. Don't underestimate the power of persistence. A dripping drop of water may seem weak, but over time, it can carve a hole into solid rock. That's the strength of consistency. Now here's something important. Progress doesn't always mean doing more. Sometimes it means doing better. Yesterday, maybe you reacted with anger, but today you practiced patience. Yesterday you carried fear, but today you carried courage. Yesterday you procrastinated, but today you took action. These shifts may seem invisible to the world, but they change you from within. And when you change from within, everything around you begins to shift as well. And remember, progress is not linear. Some days you will feel unstoppable, and other days you will feel stuck. That's okay. What matters is that you keep moving forward, no matter how small the step. Even when you stumble, even when you fall, you're still ahead of where you were yesterday. Because yesterday, you didn't know what you've learned today. Every setback, every mistake, every challenge carries a lesson, and that lesson is itself a form of progress. So when you measure yourself, don't ask, "Am I perfect yet?" Ask instead, "Am I better than yesterday?" That question is the foundation of growth, because when you focus on daily improvement, the bigger picture takes care of itself. Success stops feeling like an unreachable mountain and instead becomes a path you can walk step by step, day by day, choice by choice. The first step of learning is understanding this. If you want to grow, you cannot afford to let noise, doubts, or comparisons distract you from your path. Life is filled with voices, some loud, some subtle. People will have opinions, critics will have judgments, and even your own mind will whisper fears. If you're not careful, those voices can drown out your focus and steal the very energy you need to move forward. Then there's comparison, one of the most dangerous distractions, because comparison convinces you that you're behind, that you're not enough, that someone else's timeline should be yours. But here's the reality. You cannot measure your path with someone else's ruler. Their journey is theirs, built on their choices, their struggles, their sacrifices. Yours is different, and when you waste your energy comparing, you rob yourself of the joy of your own progress. Think of a marathon. Some runners are ahead, some are behind, some are steady, and some sprint in bursts. But each one runs at their own pace, and the finish line doesn't care how you got there. It only matters that you do. Your life works the same way. You don't need to be first. You don't need to outshine anyone. You just need to keep running your own race. The first step of learning then is discipline. The discipline to tune out the noise, the strength to face your doubts, and the wisdom to resist comparison. Because if you allow distractions to lead you, you'll keep starting and stopping, never giving yourself the chance to see how far you can go. It's like climbing a mountain. From the bottom, the peak looks impossible. Along the way, you'll hear people say it's too high, too steep, too dangerous. Your mind will whisper that you're too tired, too weak, too slow, and you'll look around and see others climbing faster, higher, with more ease. But if you keep your eyes fixed on your own steps, one after another, you will reach the top. Not because you silenced the world, but because you chose not to be distracted by it. Here's something important. Distractions will never fully disappear. The noise will always be there. Doubts will always try to creep in. Comparisons will always present themselves. But the power lies in your choice. Will you let them control you, or will you keep walking your path regardless? Because the ones who succeed are not those who never hear the noise. They are the ones who refuse to stop moving forward because of it. So every day, remind yourself, this is my journey, my battles, my dreams, my pace. The world can talk, people can doubt, my mind can waver, but my focus will remain. Because the first step of learning is knowing that distractions only have power if you give it to them. And when you stop giving them power, you reclaim your own. The first step of learning is realizing that success is not about applause. It's not about the recognition, the likes, the followers, or the approval of the world. True success comes from discipline, resilience, and courage, the quiet qualities that nobody sees, but that shape everything you become. Applause is fleeting. Today they may cheer for you, tomorrow they may forget your name. If you build your life on recognition, you'll always be chasing it, desperate for the next round of claps to validate your worth. But if you build your life on discipline, resilience, and courage, you carry within you a strength that cannot be taken away, because no one controls your discipline but you. No one builds your resilience but you, and no one ignites your courage but you. Discipline is the foundation. It's doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It's waking up early when your body begs to stay in bed. It's practicing when no one is watching, studying when no one is reminding you, working when no one is clapping. Discipline is boring at times, repetitive, even frustrating, but it's also the most powerful form of freedom because it frees you from excuses, it frees you from regret, and it frees you from the trap of waiting for motivation to magically appear. Think of an athlete. The crowd only sees the final performance, the gold medal, the shining moment under the lights. What they don't see are the years of discipline, the early mornings, the strict routines, the countless sacrifices. The athlete didn't get there because of applause. They got there because discipline carried them when no one else was looking. Resilience is the second pillar. Life will test you. You will fail, you will fall, you will face setbacks that make you question whether the struggle is worth it. And in those moments, resilience is what keeps you standing. Resilience doesn't mean you never break. It means you refuse to stay broken. It's the decision to rise again, to keep going when the path feels impossible. Resilience turns obstacles into lessons, pain into power, and setbacks into stepping stones. Every person who has achieved something meaningful has been knocked down more times than anyone can count. The difference is they refused to stay down. They chose resilience over surrender. And that choice, repeated again and again, built the strength that carried them forward. Then comes courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to act in spite of it. It's standing up when your voice shakes, stepping forward when your legs tremble, and trying again when failure has scarred you. Courage is often quiet, almost invisible. It doesn't always look like bold speeches or dramatic leaps. Sometimes courage is as simple as showing up one more time when everything in you wants to quit. The first step of learning is to stop seeking applause and start seeking these three qualities. Because applause can make you feel good for a moment, but discipline, resilience, and courage will build you into someone unstoppable. The applause belongs to the crowd, but the strength belongs to you. And when the lights are off, when no one is watching, it's these qualities that will carry you through the darkness. Think about this. How many people quit their dreams because no one noticed them, no one encouraged them, no one clapped for them? But applause was never supposed to be the fuel. Applause is a bonus. The real fuel is within you, the self-control to keep going, the toughness to endure, and the bravery to risk failure again and again until you succeed. Your journey will not always be glamorous. Most days, it will be lonely, quiet, and unnoticed. And that's okay, because it's in the unseen hours where the real work happens. It's in those silent moments of discipline, resilience, and courage that the foundation of greatness is built. One day, the world may notice. One day, they may clap, but even if they don't, you will know. You became stronger, you became wiser, you became unstoppable. And that is what true success looks like. The first step of learning is to realize this. The world doesn't need another copy of someone else's story. It needs your story, your voice, your unique journey. Too often, we fall into the trap of imitation. We see someone successful and think, if I just follow their exact steps, I'll achieve the same result. But that's not how life works. Their path is theirs, yours is yours. And if you spend your life trying to become someone else, the world will miss out on the person you are meant to be. Every single one of us carries something unique. Our struggles, our lessons, our perspective, our creativity. No two people live the same story, and that's the beauty of it. The problem is, when we compare ourselves too much or try to fit into someone else's mold, we silence our own voice. We bury our individuality under the weight of imitation. And in doing so, we rob not only ourselves, but also the world of the gift only we can bring. Think about it. Some of the greatest leaders, innovators, and dreamers weren't the ones who copied others. They were the ones who dared to be different, who embraced their unique path even when people doubted them, even when it didn't make sense at the time. They understood that their story mattered, even if the world didn't recognize it yet. And the same is true for you. Your story may not look glamorous right now. Maybe it's messy, maybe it's filled with setbacks, maybe it feels small compared to others, but that doesn't make it less valuable. Sometimes the stories that inspire the most are not the ones filled with easy victories, but the ones filled with resilience, struggle, and the courage to rise again. Your scars, your challenges, your failures, they are part of your story, and they carry power. The first step of learning is to stop hiding from your story. Stop wishing your life was someone else's. Stop believing that your journey is too small to matter. Because the moment you embrace your path fully, you unlock a strength that can't be shaken. You no longer need to chase someone else's version of success. You begin to define success on your own terms. And here's the truth. People don't connect with perfection. They connect with authenticity. When you live your own story boldly, others see themselves in you. They find hope in your struggles, courage in your persistence, and inspiration in your growth. You may not even realize it, but by simply walking your path with honesty and determination, you give others permission to do the same. Your story doesn't need to be loud to be meaningful. It doesn't need to be famous to matter. Sometimes the quietest journeys touch the most lives. A parent showing their children the value of hard work. A student refusing to give up despite failure after failure. A worker staying disciplined day after day to create a better future. These stories may never make headlines, but they are powerful because they are real. The danger of chasing someone else's story is that you lose yourself in the process. You start living by their rules, following their pace, chasing their goals, and in the end you realize you never gave yourself a chance to discover who you truly are. The world doesn't need another imitation of them. It needs the authentic version of you. So the first step of learning is simple but life-changing. Embrace your story, own your struggles, celebrate your progress, believe that your path is enough, because your life is not an accident. Your journey is not meaningless. Every step, every failure, every victory is shaping you into the person you were meant to become. When you stop running from your story and start owning it, something shifts. You stop chasing shadows. You stop comparing timelines. You begin to see the value in your own pace, your own growth, your own lessons, and that's when your journey starts to shine. Not because it looks like anyone else's, but because it finally looks like yours. At the end of the day, everything comes down to one simple truth. Your life is yours alone. Your focus, your discipline, your resilience, your courage, your story, it all belongs to you. Stop waiting for the world to understand you. Stop waiting for applause. Stop comparing your journey to anyone else's. This is your time, your chance, your fight. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs the best version of you. So stand tall, embrace your path, and keep moving forward with unwavering focus. Because when you choose yourself, when you give everything you have to your own growth, nothing, no doubt, no distraction, no failure can stop you from becoming everything you were meant to be.